transcendental ontology available anywhere. And without that, it's very difficult to understand really what is a human being, what is the soul, what is consciousness, and how does consciousness work. Even more profoundly, there has not been a logic that allows one to reason in the transcendental realm. In other words, a lot of people are having trouble with traditional religions because they like to ask this question, why? We've been brought up in the Western culture, taught that there's a reason for everything, and there's logic behind everything. So naturally, when we are told you must do such and such, then our natural response is to ask why. Why should I do that? I don't want to do it just because you told me to. I want to do it because it makes sense to me. So why do I have to do it? And this is a perfectly reasonable and rational response. So we want to support a spiritual life, but we want to do it in a way that allows you to ask why and think it through so that you really understand why. And then when you do perform spiritual activities, you'll do them much more enthusiastically and with much more initiative and concentration. So our struggle has been to package, if you will, or develop an approach to our tradition that really allows you to comprehend it properly and understand what it really is. So I think we finally have the concept here with Transcendental Ontology. For one thing, Transcendental Ontology, the phrase, is trademarkable. It's never been used before, as far as I can tell. It's not. You don't find it on the web. You don't find it with the search engines. You don't find it as a trademark in the trademark list. Esoteric teaching would be a very difficult phrase to trademark because esoteric teaching has prior use. Prior use going back actually a couple hundred years. But no one, to my knowledge, has used the phrase Transcendental Ontology, yet that perfectly describes, I mean, it really just nails exactly what the esoteric teaching really is. And we've been trying to get down to this point for a long time. So I'm pleased to tell you we're going to be developing a whole new approach around this phrase, a whole new packaging, a whole new website, a very dynamic website based on the cutting-edge Web 2.0 technology that is going to help people understand these concepts so they can apply them in their life. And that's really the bottom line here. We're not trying to build a cult. We're not trying to start a new religion. The esoteric teaching isn't new. Transcendental ontology isn't new. It's thousands or even millions of years old if you accept our internal history. So what are we doing? We're not trying to profit for ourselves. We're already satisfied. But we're trying to deploy a self-help vehicle here for the maximum benefit to the public good. So we are distributing software. I look at what we're doing as a software project, not like Microsoft, but more like the people behind Linux and the World Wide Web. They made their software open source. They made the source code available to everyone, so everyone could take it and use it in their own projects or build upon it and do something interesting with it. So we want to give you a transcendental ontology. We want to give you a framework of meaning. It's like a programming language. And you can use that programming language to do some pretty amazing things. And we're going to get into the kind of things that you can do with this programming language in future posts, because we're really, like I said, turning a corner at this point and going into a whole new realm of applications of transcendental ontology, thinking of it as a programming language, thinking of it as a software project. So why is an ontology important? Because it determines your consciousness. The limits of the ontology mark the limits of your consciousness. Why? Because your ontology gives meaning and value to your experience. And if your ontology does not describe a particular type of experience, then you will give no meaning to it, you'll have no explanation for it, and so you will not give it any value. That means you will not remember it, the experience will just fade as soon as the sense impressions that conform of it are over, and you will lose that experience and lose that value. So the problem is people have spiritual experiences all the time, but they don't remember them. They don't even know or recognize that they're having them. They don't register because they don't have any categories of meaning in their ontology with which to describe their spiritual experiences. What to speak of a logic that allows them to reason about their spiritual experiences. So gradually we're introducing terminology, logic, and relationships that describe spiritual experiences, spiritual things. And this will help you a great deal in your life because you are a spiritual living being. And so without a spiritual ontology, a transcendental ontology, you cannot really understand yourself. You cannot really understand your experience. So therefore, we want to make this ontology available to the whole world. This meta-knowledge. And what do I mean meta-knowledge? Well, ordinary knowledge is about things and experiences, but meta-knowledge is knowledge about knowledge. Ontology is the meaning of meaning. Okay, ordinary language supplies meaning, but ontological language gives the meaning of that meaning. In other words, it allows us to manipulate meaning in certain ways. And again, without a transcendental ontology, you will not be able to manipulate the meaning of your spiritual experience. In other words, you won't be able to think about it. So we have to create a language, a logic, and an ontology optimized for spiritual applications. That way we can create spiritual applications, new applications of spiritual reasoning, just like a software programming language allows us to create new applications for computers, networks, and so on. This is our natural realm of activity. And just like many people have taken to software program like a fish to water, I'm sure that many people will take to spiritual programming, if you will, once the materials are released. So we're working on that, and you will get the breaking developments here on this weblog, this podcast. And you can use them because they're open source. We don't charge for them. We don't try to make a profit off of them, because our real aim is to help you recover your perfect body. We hope you've enjoyed this edition of My Perfect Body. This is David Hughes, your host, reminding you to visit us on the web at esotericteaching.org, where you can purchase the complete Esoteric Teaching Introductory Seminar DVD and many CDs of transcendental music and mantras.